Check. Man, welcome back, man. Nomtombout Radio. Nomtombout. Yeah. It's another Wednesday. You made it halfway through the week, man. Probably eating your Salisbury steak or something, man. Hope you're being healthy. Make healthier choices, people, man. It's for your own good, man. I'm feeling good, man. New week, 91.7, WVXU, HD2 station. That's how you can keep track of us every Wednesday, 7 p.m., or you can stream us live on RadioArtifact, ticket.com. I'm talking about y'all. Make sure you check us out on Instagram at Nomtombout _radio. That's NOMTOMBOUT _radio. Or you can check us out on Facebook at Nomtombout, NOMTOMBOUT. Got my co-host here.
What up, everybody? Peace and love, Vibe 1. Back with you again. Shout out to Covington, Newport, Erlanger, Florence, Chemical County, Bellevue, Dayton, all surrounding Northern Kentucky areas. And I cannot give enough props and peace and love and shout out to the Natty. We back once again. Yes, sir.
Yeah, man, we back once again, man. We got a special guest in the house, man.
Special.
Stupid special. Extra special, man. I remember when I met this dude, I had no idea we'd be here. I had no idea who he was, but he was just a super cool dude, even at a young age. And you can feel intent off people, and his intent always seems good. So we got a special guest in here, man. Introduce yourself for the people.
What up, Natty? This is Napoleon Maddox.
Get up on that mic a little bit for
me. Yo. Hey, this is Napoleon Maddox. It's good to be here. And I'm proud to see my brothers behind the microphone, behind the control desk, making things happen.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Actually, I knew you first. I knew you, Blaze, before I met Vibe 1. Back in the day, yep. Early 90s, over in Winton Place.
When they called it Winton Place.
When they called it Winton Place. Before it was, what is it now? It was supposed to be Spring Grove Village or something like that?
They was just like, man, it says Winton. It's Winton Terrace next door. We don't want no confusion. Call it something village. Just anything. We trying to get some white people in here. Please.
Right.
Please. But yeah, man, it was down there when they used to call it Winton Place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was like a kind of like YMCA-ish.
Yeah, but it was like a one building with a basketball court outside. Yeah.
Where all the neighborhood kids came to.
Yeah.
And Napoleon was working there.
You know, the funny story is, I mean, we hear because of hip hop on it right now. But also in that building, I was in that space because of hip hop.
Yeah.
Because back in the day, like before I met the cats in the Watusi tribe, I was committed to, like, I was like, yo, Malcolm X is all about it, and Dr. King was about it, and Chuck D and Public Enemy and KRS, all them cats, them was my cats. So I lived and breathed that. Yeah. And so I was like, okay, the next step is I can't just rap about it. I gotta be about it. So I'm gonna get out in these communities, and I'm gonna find some way to engage. Yeah. So I was just rolling. Me and one of my friends was just rolling one day, and we rolled up through Winton Place. And I was like, I'm gonna stop in here and see what we can do. So I was asking them at the time, Linda Wild, the director. Yeah. I was like, can I come and just play music? I just want to play some hip hop, and I just want to engage with your young people. You know, so I did that.
She said yeah to that?
She let me, yeah. So I was like, I was, and at the time, I didn't know that I was a leader. I was just doing what I felt needed to be done. And it took somebody else that I met along the way to say, man, I don't know if I could be a part of what you're doing, like being in a group, but I just want you to know that you're a leader. And then when somebody said that to me, I was like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and do this thing that I'm trying to do. But anyway, so I figured out, like, later on that I was able to get to talk to people, and people would listen and give me a chance to do stuff. So that's what happened with Linda. She let me come and play music. And I didn't really have no real equipment. I had like some old speakers that the church gave away, and like a little tape deck or something. Mm-hmm. And you know, so then I volunteered a few times, and then eventually I started working there. You know, and so I became staff there. Then you probably remember I think I was there a while before you came along. Did y'all move into the neighborhood, or you was already you and your
we
family?
moved into the neighborhood. Well, we already were in the neighborhood. We were in them apartments,
Mhm.
Winton. We moved over to Flat Terrace.
Oh, right, Flat Terrace.
So, yeah, we were there for a minute, and yeah, man, it's just crazy. How
that was like
came
the
together.
old neighborhood, like you see on the movies, and they be like, "We're going back to the old neighborhood."
Yeah.
That was like the old neighborhood.
You want to know what's kind of crazy?
What's that?
I seen Puppet Man.
Oh yeah, Steve Sunderland.
They used to let us smoke tobacco at the age of 7, bro. We used to go downstairs, and he would pull out a peace pipe. And
Word.
You didn't know that working there?
No,
Really?
no. I know he was all about native culture, like Indian, Native American culture. And
Pretty
whatnot.
sure he wasn't Native American.
No, he's not. He's Jewish. But he was all about that. Like he would take us to, we went to Bad River, Wisconsin.
Oh, I don't think
Remember
I went
that?
to
You didn't go on those trips, so I know at least twice we went up to like an Indian reservation.
Really?
And so we would do these unity runs. You remember unity runs? There were shirts where people would run a certain distance of the city and then pass the feather off to another neighborhood.
I remember that.
So it was like a marathon, but it was in like a Native American tradition. So somehow in the whole dialogue of reconciliation and making things better as a Jewish person, because that's a part of the creed. Like people talk about a lot of stuff with Jewish culture and everything, but really, like that's something that's like straight out of the Torah and out of their traditions of like social justice. Now you got people that stray from that, and don't focus on that. But I think there's something in almost every culture that says like if you get to the real tenets of what that's about, then it's something having to do with the struggle and justice and liberation in there somewhere. Even if you go back to the stories of how the mafia got started, there's something in there about like rebelling against oppressive forces. So anyway, based on all that, that's why. So that's the long explanation as to why you were smoking tobacco at the age of
7, man.
It's because of justice.
My mom would have been zoned out if she would have.
Word, well, I think so. There's a chance.
That's bananas to me, man.
Word, I had no clue.
You worked there.
I know, but he was there. He knew what it was. He knew. He was like, so listen, we're gonna do this in a special way. He was probably a whole ceremony, right?
Yeah, I think Linda was Native American, or she probably would have claimed it. She had real long hair.
No, she wasn't Native American.
She was like, it's Native, man. You don't see it? I'm Linda.
That's crazy.
That is crazy.
That's crazy,
bro.
Our roots deep, yo.
He said it was, and
he would
said it was a
come.
peace pipe.
Well, tell him what the whole puppet man thing
He would
was.
come with puppets, and he would. Man, if I tell you exactly what happened, it sounds so crazy. This man would come with puppets, and he would take a group of selected kids to the basement, where he would hold puppet shows. It sounds wild, saying it in retrospect. And then we would smoke afterwards. Do you know how crazy that sounds?
But the part that sounds crazy is just the smoking part, because I know that he's a therapist. He's a professor in like I think he's
random Jewish
now.
man with a Native American name came with puppets and took children to the basement.
What was the Native American name that you had for him?
I think that was his Native
Was
American
Puppet Man.
Puppet Man.
Puppet Man runs with wind. No,
I think he had another name though.
Maybe he did, but nah. So he was using the puppets.
Yeah.
So that like children that had like different grieving or trauma issues could talk about their issues and use the puppets to illustrate, like, so it wouldn't be like just people talking, and so I know that there have been young people whose family were dealing with addiction or divorce or losing a family member. So all of those different levels of grief, he was using the puppets as a therapeutic measure or a tool to get young people to open up, and to be able to talk about their issues and whatnot.
I think that's the whole purpose that place served, was just getting kids away from trauma and giving them a little time to just chill out, eat a snack, get in trouble, sit on the stairs.
Yeah, sit on the stairs.
Sat on the stairs many a day.
Word.
I wasn't even bad, man. It's crazy.
That's what I used to
that
say.
Place
I wasn't even
closed
bad.
down now?
It's still there, but I'm not sure who runs it now. You know?
I don't know. I haven't been in a while. I used to try to stop by at least every couple years and just like reminisce a little bit, which is a funny segue. One of the people that I met when I stopped by, not too long after I had left, there's a lady named Lucia, and so she did some work in the communities here. I think she did a lot of work in Northside, and then she moved to Chicago, and now she lives in Mexico. But I've been working with her now on one of the events for this festival that we got coming up. And so the festival, it's the second year that we've done this festival in Cincinnati. And it's called the Underworld Jazz Festival. Underworld Jazz Festival. So last year we did 4 days at different venues, and we kept all of the events free. And the whole idea is to bring the music and the culture back to the people on a level where it's more relatable. A lot of times people listening, they think of jazz, they hear the term jazz, and they think about something that's outside of their price range, outside of their social strata, outside of their realm of accessibility. And that's not how it started at all. You know, there would be no jazz if it wasn't for, you know, the folk, the real people, like not the elite, but, you know, the common folk. But then more essentially and more crucially, without Africans in this country, without what is now called African Americans, but at the time we weren't even acknowledged as Americans when we started jazz in this country in New Orleans. So I keep all of that in mind when I think about today's trap, hip hop, whatever next experiment comes up from our culture, from Black urban culture, and I connect all of that. You know what I'm saying? And so it becomes a gift to the world that we are able to share. You know, because we're creative people, and very often our ingenuity is not acknowledged until somebody else can commodify it, right, until somebody else can make money off of it. So that's the theme of the festival. That's the spirit of the festival. This is the second year. What's the dates? So this year the dates are May 11th through May 25th, and the highlight, we got a lot of stuff happening, but the two big highlight events are Tank and the Bangers are coming in, and they're a group from New Orleans that they were recently on Jimmy Fallon. They also they won a Tiny Desk concert. So like if you look them up on YouTube, you find them on Tiny Desk concert. And it's like they got like 7 million views for their Tiny Desk performance. And so they doing it big, and so we really excited to have them. That's one of the highlight concerts. The other one is a really personal project that got started here in Cincinnati in 2017, and it's a multimedia performance that I direct. I'm the artistic director of it, and I'm also the principal, the main performer. But it includes several moving parts that tell the story of my great-grand aunts. So the aunts of my grandmother, and my mother is in the studio right now, and I give her respects and props for telling me and my sisters this story. They were my great grand aunts were conjoined twins. They used to be referred to as Siamese twins, Millie Christine McCoy, and so they were born in 1851. At that time, of course, in North Carolina, it was during the slavery times, and so they were born into slavery. But because of their exceptional nature of being connected like that, then the people who own them profited from exhibiting them. Right. And so they have an extraordinary story, and I tell their story of their life and their personal and emotional liberation. Like before the signing of the Emancipation, I say that they liberated themselves by the way that they thought and the way that they stayed true to their own dignity, even though they were, they were objectified. So I tell their story from the perspective of my great-great-grandfather. So their father, I tell the story in that way. So part of the show, I'm in chains, and then I transform into the ringmaster, and it's really something to see. So the first time we did it was at the Contemporary Arts Center. We had 3 nights sold out at the Contemporary Arts Center. Then we took it to Paris. We did a tour that year. That same year, we did 3 different festivals and theaters. Then later on that fall, we did 3 more. Then we did 2 shows in Italy. And then and we just been keeping it going. So it's now, when we play it here next month on the 17th, it's gonna be like the 12th or 13th show. And it's like it's an ambition. It's the biggest thing that I've ever done in my life. Now I guess the whole festival will be the biggest thing that I've done, because this is really something like really directing this, being in charge of.
I can't wait to see it
this,
live.
this
Man,
much.
I gotta come down there for that.
Yeah.
That sounds.
So that's on May 17th, and both of those shows, those two shows that I mentioned, are at the Woodward, and they're the only two shows that cost anything at all. Everything else is free. May 16th is Tank and the Bangers at the Woodward Theater, and May 17th is the show is called Twice the First Time, Stories of Millie Christine, and that's at the Woodward Theater also. May 16th and May 17th.
Man, so if you ain't doing nothing, man, you need to go ahead and check out that event.
Or if you're doing something, you might want to find another time to do it.
Yeah.
Right.
But keep your options open and keep your ear open to the streets for that, because that sounds interesting.
Word.
I'm definitely gonna be down there. How long is the stage play?
It's about a 90-minute.
Yeah.
In total, the total running time is roughly about 90 minutes.
That's a lot of time on stage.
Yeah, but it goes so fast, and people are always like, we've gotten all kinds of reactions. Every show, somebody has said that they were moved to tears. It's been interesting, like doing it in different cities and where different people from all over the world are there. There are people there's a lot of Africans in France.
Yeah.
So one of the responses that was crazy that we got was like, there was this woman, and she was, after the show, she was talking to me. They had printed out these pictures and made their own posters of like the promotional pictures that we had for the show. And so they had these large pictures of me, and it was like speaking French. And I understand a lot of French. I'm getting better and better each time I go over there. But she was like speaking really fast, and she wanted me to sign it. And she was like, je suis née en Tupile et maintenant je suis toute seule. And so she was saying that I was born in triplets. Yeah. There were 3 of us when I was born. And now see how you do? See? So she said,
out of that whole thing.
Right, out of that whole thing, we see where your mind is. I'm gonna have to talk to your lady. I got her number. But she was saying that there were triplets when she was born, and now she's all alone. Maintenant je suis toute seule. And then she said that the other 2 that were born when she was born, they were conjoined twins. Really? So the story was really personal for her, and they passed away. Her siblings passed away. Wow. But so she was like, it was between laughter and like, she was just so emotional and like tears rolling down her face, but she was smiling. So she was like really touched by the whole story. Another thing that happened was like so that was during the first tour, that when we took it to France. During the second tour, we made another change where we had actors, French actors, do. When I say French actors, I feel like I need to do a disclaimer right there. Being French is like when you say somebody's American, they can be their ancestors could be from Japan or from Mexico. They're citizens in this country, so we say American. But so these are people that the 2 actors that we had one was her ancestry, I think, was from Ivory Coast maybe, and then the other guy was from Cameroon. So we had a male and female actor do a kind of narrative in certain parts of the show in 4 different places to make sure that the main themes of the story was understood, because I'm transmitting a lot as I'm singing and rapping and acting and everything, but it's still in English. So you're getting it, but when you have the details laid out for you in your native language, then it's like, oh, now I really get it. Yeah. And so we did this tour, and on the last tour, everything was like, the last date of the tour, everything was really locked in and sinking. And there's a town called Brest, France. It's on the West Coast.
Can't wait to visit.
Yeah, I could imagine. But it's spelled differently than the kind that you like to stare at.
As long as they're the same.
As long as they sound the same, huh?
Yeah.
But this town called Brest, Brest.
Sounds like huge ones.
Yeah, right.
They took the A out.
So,
oh God.
this town called Brest They had by the end of the show, like without being prompted, the people came down to the front of the stage and they were cheering us on because they understood that there was like a theme of victory and resolution by the end of the story. And that was really moving. You know, every time I tell that story and I look at the footage of that, like there's some short documentaries about the show. And when I explain that moment in the show, it's really moving because I didn't say, so come down with us and celebrate a life of victory, you know. And so it just means a lot to be able to offer this back one more time here in Cincinnati, where people where you know, some people know me, you know, they know, some people know my family, but now over the last couple of years, people have been able to kind of follow it online and to bring it back home, and it just means a lot. So I'm really looking forward to people coming out, you know. May 17th.
Yeah, man, that sounds real interesting.
Definitely got to see that. Cause I remember, was that last year we were downtown?
Okay.
You showed the one film with the girl, she was trying to change
Oh
what
yeah,
she was
yeah.
Yeah, I remember that's the first time I heard about the play. I think that might have been 2 years ago. Time goes so fast.
So no, that was last year at last year's festival. So you're talking about the kickoff of last year's festival.
Yeah, right.
And so we had a film festival.
Right.
And a discussion. So we discussed the album of me and Sorg's album, Checking Us.
Dope album.
And MC Till was hosting that discussion, and then we showed a couple films. We were gonna show 3, but we went ahead and showed 2 films, and then we had a performance. So that was fun. It was exciting to like share that kind of moment in Cincinnati.
Nice. Yeah, I'm there, man. We learning a lot about the work that it take that you got to put in to get a certain product out. We're hearing about Beyonce, how her last 2-hour show she worked 8 months on.
Wow, yeah.
Gave up bread, carbs, sugar, all that type of stuff just to be a better working machine.
Right on.
Talk about the work it takes that you had to put into to get an hour and a half show.
Wow. So the way that I work is kind of, and I'm learning about different ways to work and how to work more efficiently. But I do a lot of research and I pull things in from all different aspects of my life. You know, it's probably something from this discussion that's going to influence the way we do the show on May 17th at the Woodward. You know, but I think in layers, and I build in layers, and then I bring it to the stage in a way that I'm making something that doesn't seem relatable. And so then when people watch it, they're like, man, there was so much there. There was so much there. They always say that. There was so much there because I'm digging deep into myself to bring it out. And then also one of the things that I really like to do, I feel like if I can do my lyrics, if I could perform the song that I'm singing or recite the poem or do the rap that I'm doing and still be thinking about 5 or 6 other things at the same time, then I'm ready to do the show. And what I mean when I say that is that I wanted to be so deeply ingrained in my person that even things that I'm not aware of, those things are communicating the theme that the song is about. So I'm not even thinking about the lyrics that I'm saying. I'm thinking about the spiritual level of the experience, you know, and then that's transmitted. And so that's really, I find it to be mandatory when you're performing for audiences that don't speak your native language. They need to be able to feel it, that it means all of that to you, you know, and that you're not just up there passing the time.
That you get all those nuances too. Just small stuff that means so much, just the way you might posture your face or the way your arms might move. That's deep. That's deep. How long, like how many hours a day you practicing?
When it comes down to like showtime, like leading up to the performance, then, you know, a lot of times we like to have residencies where we could dedicate the whole day to the performance and spend time critiquing everything, you know. And part of it is the actual performance, like you actually doing the songs and the order and everything. And another part of the spending of the time is just having time with the team to talk through and like reconnect and to consider like, okay, we did X, Y, and Z, but actually, you know, maybe we should change this one little thing right there. You find all of these nuggets in the details of how you present a show, you know. And so a lot of times it comes down to and as a producer, both of y'all, and I know as producers, you understand how sometimes the essence of a thing is in the cleaning of the details of taking away something like, okay, that's too much bass right there. That sample is a little too loud, or I got three samples running and I love all them samples, but the problem is I really just need that one. You know, so the same thing is true on the stage. Is like we had a lot going on when we produced the show and people were like, oh wow, this is really something, but we figured out like, okay, we got all of that, but what we really need are these essentials.
Yeah. Right. What's the most in doing this, what's been the most difficult thing or the most challenging thing that you've had to overcome to bring it to light?
Most challenging thing to bring it to light. Wow, that's a good one. It's probably in that realm of like wanting to tell this big story with all of this. I mean, it's a huge story, you know, and it includes time, like it's from a different time period, from the 1800s, and then it includes the social ramifications of slavery. Then it includes a person that's got 2 heads and 4 arms, and so it's got all these different details, and I'm wanting to tell all of this stuff. I'm wanting to share the story, so it's been a challenge to like pull back and keep it interesting and layered, but along the way stay true to the story, but understand. Oh, you know what? Now that I'm saying that, okay, so this is the thing that I've had to remind myself of, is that I know the story because I grew up with it. So my mother has been telling me and my sisters a story from as early as I can remember. I probably knew that story by the time I knew my ABCs. So when I talk about it, sometimes I tend to jump forward in the whole thing because it's like when we were growing up, she didn't tell us about the slavery part of it. She just told us that they were great, that they were considered the 8th wonders of the world, the 2-head nightingale, and all these different celebrity things, because they were celebrities. Like there are very few people that you can go online and find photographs of people that lived in the 1800s. 9 times out of 10, if you look something up online, it's gonna stop, you know, at a certain point in the pop era. But there's a lot of photos of them, and they were in a time where photographs were just being discovered, like the ability to take photographs had just arrived. Right. So she told us about that aspect of it. But as a man and as a person that's been traveling, when I say as a man, I don't mean just as a male, but I mean as an adult, I started thinking about, what does this mean? What did it mean for them to be black in this country and to be women? And so unearthing all of that stuff, it gave me so much to talk about. But a lot of times when I'm talking to people, they're still getting past the fact that, no, wait a minute, how did they live? Like how, you know, and so what, you know, so I have to take my time and like let people digest it, and not skip too far ahead just because I've been living with it all my life. I gotta give them time to live with it.
Right. That's interesting. I was wondering that because there's a story that needs to be told out of my family. Okay. And I've been trying to figure out how to approach it, how to go about doing it too. And that's one of the things is it was told to me at a certain age, and then more and more was added on the ugly side, the real. I mean, it's an ugly situation that happened, but the more ugliness was revealed as me and my cousins, my siblings got older, and it's like I want to turn it into like a movie. I wanted to speak about it in music, just different ways. But it's like, all right, you got to figure out how you're gonna do it. Right. Reel it in, and concentrate on exactly how you want to do it. So that's why I wanted to ask you that question, because when it's your family and it's something that's so deep within itself, so amazing within itself, but then it's your story, part of your lineage. It's just a little bit more I don't want to say pressure, but it's just in a way you definitely want to make sure it gets conveyed in a way to where people get it, like you're saying.
Right on.
And they coming to the stage without you telling them to come to the stage. This is the point where we celebrate. They already know.
Right on.
So that's amazing, man.
Right on.
Yeah.
Kind of talk about how you even got the bug to get into music.
We grew up with that, you know. It really came from all of my first memories with music and with being, you know, presenting myself in front of people. They have to do with church, you know. So my parents were always really committed to the idea that we should be in church. We should be involved. That was our first community away from outside of ourselves, because there's enough of us in our family to make a community. And then when you get extended family in there, it's enough to make a small city.
Y'all should have had a cult.
We missed that one.
Start your own church. It's nonprofit, man.
Yeah, that's true. Where was you at when we was?
I could have got y'all together, man.
She could have hooked us up.
He was on time out.
Yeah, definitely.
Smoking tobacco in the basement.
Man, sounds
You should have been on your job. But so we grew up in the church, man, and like a lot of us, you know, like, you know, Aretha, James Brown, you could name a long list of artists and entertainers and you know, if you will, even intellectuals, what have you, started with this church experiences. And so there's a story of like when I don't know, I must have been 3 or 4. I don't remember exactly how old I was, but I got teased about it for a long time because my father would go up in the procession of people, like walking from the back of the church office to the front to lead out, like when church service is beginning. And I would watch him do that week after week. And so one day I decided, like, we did everything else together because I'm an only son. So I have all sisters. Yeah. And so me and my father had like, he was definitely, absolutely the boss. Yeah. But I also like he was like also a substitute brother, you know. So I thought like he was the son would come up and go down around my father, you know. And I love all my family though. But so one day I just decided at church service he was going up there, I was gonna go too, you know. So I went up and they, you know, I don't remember. I didn't get it. I definitely didn't get a chastised. I didn't get a whooping or nothing. But so I think after that they saw that I was willing. I had the bug. I wanted to be up front, and so they had me sing. I think maybe the first time I sung a song with him. I don't remember. But then shortly after that, me and my sister started singing together in church, and then that was a wrap after that.
Your sister that's here now?
No, that's my baby sister. She's the youngest. So I have sisters that are twins. On my mother's side, each generation has at least a set of twins. Yeah. So me and my sisters that are twins, we used to sing together. We would call the Maddox Trio. The Maddox 3. The Maddox 3, that's what we call it. Not the Jackson 5. The Maddox 3. Hey. So yeah, man. Then, you know, I start hearing them other beats like the, you know, Atomic Dog type, and Run DMC, Houdini, UTFO, all of that. Yeah. Bruh, my parents had problems. Yeah. They had problems after that because it was like, what's wrong with you? Stop trying to do all that rap stuff. What's wrong? Yeah, you always tapping on things and trying to dance around. That's not It's not what the Lord would have you doing. And so, but you know, I kept it in the lane. You know, I remember introducing my mother to Why Is That? Ask yourself, homeboy, why is that? It's a Boogie Down Production song from his 3rd album. Okay. And so he's quoting all of these scriptures, and he's doing like a lineage thing, a genealogy thing about black people and biblical characters, and saying how, you know, a lot of those men, like Moses was black and this person was black, etc. And I played that for my mother, and she was like, okay, that's it. So I got a pass on that one, you know.
You be excited when you find some hip hop that your parents can listen to. You be like, listen to this, man.
Right,
my mom
right.
Still be like, boy, turn that down. You gonna make my cake fall.
Oh,
turn it down.
You gonna make my cake fall.
Back in the days when cakes used to fall, man.
Right.
I don't think they do that no more.
Right.
She know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, man. So my father still wasn't having it. He wasn't having it.
Oh, yeah.
Nah, but I mean, that was up until I remember we had a conversation when it was after high school. I had graduated from high school and I was like really getting deep into music. I had my radio show and I was like, or maybe I was about to get my radio show over on the Waif. And but I was like spending a lot of time trying to figure out what is this music business and how does it work. And he was like, you don't need to be messing with no music business. You don't know nothing about no music business. You need to get a job so you can support yourself. And I was like, yeah, I'm definitely planning to work. But so it was just like it was a bad taste for him, But I stayed the course. I've always been a hard worker. So I still did my work, like construction or working at Kroger's or whatever I had to do to earn a living. But I was still always hustling and learning and networking and it was something that I'm really glad that I didn't let go of because I see so many developmental tools, things that I developed from discovering the music business, being a writer, being, learning how to be more confident and outspoken, learning how to think on my feet, and also how to defend myself, because you got to know how to defend yourself out here in this world, period. But in the music business, it's, people talk about the streets and the dope game and all the different types of stuff people talk about, but man, white collar crime and the business, legit business, man. Yeah. You can lose your shirt out here messing around.
Why you got it on?
Right, yeah.
Hey man, whoa.
Yeah. So you gotta know some stuff, and so I'm learning every day, and I'm really grateful that, I'm grateful for the foundation from home, but I'm also grateful from the stuff that I met, that I learned from encountering the music business and hip hop and don't let me talk about the jazz business or but yeah, but and then later on in my career, as some years after that conversation with my father, I would bring stuff by the house that I was working on, or I would read lyrics to him, and he would listen and he'd be like, yeah, that's deep. You're thinking deep, and that's nice, man. You writing some good stuff. And so he came to a few shows, before the end of his journey. He passed away in 2008. But yeah, so this means everything to me, man, to be able to do stuff like this and come on this show and like have, this is 4 different chapters of my life represented right here in this room, from my mother to you, being a grown man now doing your thing thoroughly. Crazy. And if somebody that I can say that I mentored in a way,
Yeah, definitely,
and then the brother right here, Vibe One, that there was some serious formative years back in the Watusi days, so yeah, so this is big, to come back and be welcomed like this.
I was trying to remember the time, because he came up in our conversation last week, on air, and I was like, we got to get him in here, but I couldn't remember I know I was saying something about, just like what he's saying, his what I got from him, meeting him, was the dedication. Yeah. Because coming from, even though Cincinnati's right here, Covington's right there, it's still, we were the first, the group that I came with to be a part of Watusi Trail, we were like the first hip-hop artists in Covington.
X-Nation, Casa
Uma. So it was like, we had our perspective on things, and we had been traveling, touring and different stuff like that too, but it was strictly from a performance standpoint. So I've been performing since I was a child, so that wasn't an issue. But dealing with the business of hip hop and the grind of it from a different perspective, like he'll go to he'll shoot to New York with the quickness and go, sleep wherever he got to sleep at. Just the whole dedication. Yeah. I learned a lot from him, from that dedication, and I learned a lot from Sam Bosley, a.k.a. Scholar at the time.
He came through, too.
Yeah.
Scholar was like the mastermind behind the Watusi,
Yeah.
And it was like, we was like bounced off each other a lot, me and Scholar. Like I would be there a lot because we at the time my family was going to church right around the corner from his house, So a lot of times after church, I would bounce down to his house, or I would spend a lot of time, at his place, and then we would talk a little bit, and then I would just hit the streets and be hustling every way that I could, to get the word out about the group.
What was the record store you used to work at?
It's called Anthony C's.
Yeah, Anthony C's.
Yeah, right across the street from where the old Arts Consortium used to be.
Yeah.
So we were like, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out something else to say besides Batman and Robin. But we was tight. You know what I'm saying? We was super tight. And we used to like really rep strong. And I know we went to New York one time with the whole group, with almost everybody from the Watusi went up to New York together.
Took a charter bus.
We did. I think it was like a 15-passenger van or something like that.
And then one time it was a smaller group of us. It was like 4 of us: you, Scholar, me, and X.
Oh, word.
We had
Okay.
that little bitty spirit.
Oh, word. So yeah.
X, he's 6'3", so his needs is all up.
Was that a rental or was that
That
somebody's
was a
car?
rental. Yeah,
Okay.
it was a little
Okay.
rental,
So we did that, and then we went one time with a van because we
Yeah.
stayed at my Aunt Edna's house.
Yeah.
In Queens. Me and Scholar went to New York, so that would make at least 3 times we went. Because one time we went to master the record.
Yeah.
And I remember when we went with Scholar, that was when we went to Payday Records, and I was supposed to be interviewing J. Rue the Damager.
That's who it was. I was trying to. Yeah.
And J. Rue didn't show up. But bruh,
I wanted to talk about this.
Yeah,
it's coming, man. Y'all about to get your head busted, man. Come on.
We drive all the way up to New York.
Yeah.
And Scholar's with me, and there's all these different details I'm wanting to add in because when it gets juicy, I'm like, and then it was peach pie, and then water was in a Kool-Aid cup. So we get to New York. I was crashing on the couch with my cousin Willeen. So that side of my family, we was like super tight because her dad was my father's best friend, and they used to do construction together. He was killed in the 70s in New York. So we always had a really great connection with that side of the family. So I would just show up a lot of times and be like, Cousin Willeen, I'm here. She's like, Cuz, what's up? And so we crash out. The next day we go into the city, take the train to Midtown to Payday Records. This was when the record business was like, you could just put out a CD and sell, couple thousand easy. It wasn't difficult because the internet wasn't even popping yet. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm like, J. Rue was on this label called Payday Records. The group home was on Payday Records too. Yeah. Both groups produced by DJ Premier. And J. Rue was pretty hot back then. Come Clean was still fresh. You know about Come Clean?
I ain't here. My mom didn't allow that rap stuff, man.
Boom, 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 boom.
You have to play it.
Boom, boom, boom. Yeah,
that was jump what?
And this this is going far back enough where it had a music video. Okay. You know what I'm saying? It was like was Yo MTV Rap still on back then? And whatever Rap City on BET.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So that joint was hot. Yeah, I'm not sure if it went gold or not, but it was crucial enough where it was common for well-known hip-hop albums to come out and not be gold or platinum records.
Right. Still considered classic.
Still considered classic and have a core audience of people that was checking for it. So anyway, I'm like, I'm hyped to do this interview with J. Rue because he's like the lyrical beast. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? He was the Kendrick of that time, with that album. He was a beast like that with the flow. So the dude who was hosting me, who like welcomed me, and I think his name was Ephraim, if I'm remembering correctly, because I had quite a few contacts up there in the city. But that day, he was like, "Man, I'm so tired of these guys. I can't get them to come across the bridge from Brooklyn, and you're all the way here from Cincinnati. I feel terrible. But J. Rue is not showing up. I can't get him to answer the phone." This is like a young white, like probably Jewish or Italian, young guy that's working at this hip hop label, indie label. I can't get these guys to answer the phone. I don't know what's going on. At least they could come across the bridge and do this interview. But thanks for coming, man. And so I got this other guy here. I think the Nutcracker is gonna, at least he's gonna come from the group home. You know the group home, right? I was like, yeah, I like them too. That's cool if you could. And also I got this other guy. Maybe he's definitely down to. I think he's stopping by in a little bit.
Let's do the drum roll.
This guy Jay-Z. Jay-Z is here, and do you know about him? He's on some mixtape. I was like, yeah, I like that, because Jay-Z had a song on these mixtapes on P Nice and Precise, and that was also the mixtape era, where if you go to New York and get a mixtape, you could hear everything before anybody ever knew anything about it in Cincinnati. So I would be copping the mixtapes. There would be a few little shops around Cincinnati that sold hip hop gear, and they might sell a little vinyl, and they would have a selection of mixtapes: Tony Touch, P Nice and Precise, DJ Clue, DJ Doo-Wop, all of that stuff. You could tell right now, listeners, you could tell you listening to the authentic right now, because I could go back on you. Yeah. So I had this P Nice and Precise mixtape, and the last song on side A or side one of the sides, the last song was a Jay-Z song.
Some people are like, side? What do you mean side?
Yeah. Well, side is like on a cassette, where you take a cassette out of the tape deck, and you turn it over to the other side, and you put it back in, and you play the rest of the cassette.
You mean y'all would flip your iPad over and do something on the back of it?
Nah, bro.
That's what people are saying right now, millennials. But yeah, go ahead, man.
Yeah, Jack. So he had this joint with it had a dope piano sample in it, and it was just like, was just in that zone of hip hop that I like. It was like, you could hear the jazziness of the sample, and Jay-Z's flow was like that expert flow. You know, super intricate, and he would drop something in there. He said something about Take Six in there too, and Take Six was like a group that we grew up listening to, because they were like started off as a gospel group, and I was like, okay, yeah, this is like, that was my favorite part of the mixtape. So when dude said Jay-Z, I was like, yeah, I know that dude. So he was like, oh, okay. So he was like, cool, I get to salvage the moment. And so I'm interviewing Jay-Z on the same level as if I had got a chance to interview KRS-One or Rakim or something like that, because I'm into that. Like, I was like all about underground stuff. Anything, if it had flavor that I was digging, I was giving that the same credit as if it was Run DMC or Dougie Fresh or somebody classic, somebody well known. To me, it was all like the quality is what mattered, not necessarily the notoriety. So I still got somewhere this cassette tape of the show where I interviewed Jay-Z, and
I got it on my computer.
Oh, okay.
Really?
That's what's happening.
I got it on my computer.
Is it video too?
You sent that one to me, and you sent the one with Most Def.
Oh, word. Okay. Yeah. So
sitting on some hey.
Yeah,
hey,
Jack.
Man.
Yeah, man.
It's in my iTunes on my Mac.
Man.
So
Mac. You need to put that on a couple different hard drives.
So that was for my radio show, but the radio show was called The Social Factor, because the group was called The Social Committee. Bruh, I don't know. I'm just saying that's what was happening back then. That's what I was doing. That's the Napoleon. That was the Maddox.
Yeah,
back in the day.
Yeah. You know how to evolve,
bruh. It's absolutely mandatory. You know what I'm saying? Even that was an evolution from a different cat. You know, I was super idealistic back then, but I was always still curious and discovering stuff. And, you know, like the discovery of like just sometimes getting on a plane or hopping in the car, driving 10 hours. I mean, and that's if you drive straight. If you don't really take a long break, you can get from here to New York in 10 hours. And I would do that drive. I did that drive multiple times a year. And every now and then I would I would buy a flight ticket, and I would go up there and chop it up and meet people, interview people for the radio show, come back, broadcast it. And people really started to know that I was here, you know, in the city and in the country. You know, people would send me promo stuff. You know, for a while, Watusi was doing street promo stuff in this region for Wu-Tang. You know, so they would send us posters and stickers and, you know, limited edition vinyl from Sons of Man and different split-offs of Wu-Tang. So, yeah.
You're a hip-hop historian, man. Like
a LeBron
James.
A little bit.
And that's also, what was that? That was Art?
Art Distribution, yeah.
Shout out Miss Judy Jones.
Oh yeah, man. People don't know about Judy, man. I had to tell somebody younger about Judy the other day, and I don't know her full story, but I know she was definitely influential.
Oh yeah, I mean, she was bringing. She was responsible for a lot of people walking the streets in Cincinnati from other cities, like people even like Lil Wayne and Hot Boys, Juvenile, all of them cats. They would come through as Cash Money was developing into something.
Yeah.
You know, and Judy Jones would do street team stuff, and you know that wasn't my cup of tea, musically, aesthetically. But you can only respect that. You can only, you know, the history that means, you know, and so that's really, that's our pedigree right there, you know, and so, you know, that story, that's not a story that can be untold or undone.
Yeah.
You know.
Right.
Yeah.
What do you how do you stay evolving? How did you? Well, let me go with this one because your business. You seem to run like a business. How did you How did you meet up with the people who got your business acumen together?
Wow. So,
because that's a lot of what we miss here in the city, the office part.
Right on. Well, you know, that's interesting because I know that there is a lot of business that goes into what I'm doing, but the first thing that I think about is not like, what are the numbers? What's the business? What's the bottom line? The first thing I look at is the relationships. I want to do, you know, and I'm learning how to get better in all of the things that I'm doing. So I pay attention to certain things. I listen to, you know, there's a show that comes on NPR called, I think it's called Money Talks or Money Matters or something like that. I like to listen to different segments on business. But essentially, if your relationships are poor, if you don't know how to manage relationships, if you don't know how to say, oh, that's a good point, let me think about that, or let me get back to you, or, you know, we had a change of direction. I'm sorry. This particular venture that we were going to do is not going to work out this time. If you don't know how to do those things and manage relationships, then no matter how many business opportunities you come across, you're going to be losing in comparison to what you can gain. Like some people they still make come-ups because they're super talented or they're super hungry or they're just greedy. You know, different things happen, you know, but your life will not be as rich in terms, in the way I think of business. I try to think of the relationship as the main currency, because when it's all said and done, if the dollar goes bottom out, or if the euro goes bottom out, or if people decide gold is no longer a thing of value, we still have to figure out how to interact and how to appreciate each other's value. Yeah. And so that's the rule of business that I use to compass myself, you know, and it helps me to go from venture to venture in a sustainable manner.
So you're not backed by nobody. It's just you just move as Napoleon. And
well, this year for the first time I applied for a large well, I wouldn't say it's actually, back in the day I did get a grant from, I can't remember what it's called now, but like a long time ago I got a grant to do some music. And then this year I was awarded a People's Liberty grant. And so with that we're doing a project called the Mobilization of Congo Square, where we do, in the same spirit of what I was talking about with the festival, with jazz, bringing it back to the people. Yeah. So that is a type of backing, and really grateful for that from People's Liberty, a project grant. And then I also more recently got was awarded artist associated position with a organization in France, where they're having me. They're gonna just listen to my creative ideas and support them. So they will provide funding and do more research to get more money for me to do what I want to do.
Right. That's
you
hard.
know,
that's a lot, man.
You know, but as far as corporate backing, no, I don't have any corporate backing. I don't have any. I'm not with a label. I'm not signed to a label currently. I have been signed before. So in that way, no, I don't have any traditional backing. There's no bank rolling here.
I still, because you move around so much that I mean, it looked like you backed by somebody. So for you to just be pushing through, like you feel like the universe get out the way.
Well, I'm gonna have to say I'm backed by the universe. The Most High is my backing.
It seemed like
on a real tip, for real though. I have so much to be thankful for.
Yeah.
That I can't even, that's a tragedy I think we run into, is like sometimes the more successful you become and the more moves you make, it's not difficult to lose track of like the fact that it doesn't have to be me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I could be all the talent in the world. I could be whatever, but it's just by grace. You know what I'm saying? Like what if suddenly I lost my voice, or what if I couldn't move, or what if I lost my memory, or anything, or any number of stories. Because I used to be, even though I was always known as a positive guy, I used to be hot-headed. I used to be like quick to move, quick to, get excited. And any one of those circumstances could have led to me, losing my life or losing my freedom.
Yeah.
So I have to say that I'm grateful, to the grace and the sustaining forces in the universe, whatever people understand that to be. I choose to say, by the grace of God, I'm here.
What keep you grounded, like you? Because you always seem like you real, just grounded. Like, I mean, I guess that's that thinking to keep you there.
Yeah. I hope, and my prayer is that it keeps me there. But also, the other balance to that is, like I was saying earlier, it requires a certain amount of confidence to survive in this world. And sometimes, you look back at the history of politics, of music, arts, religion, you always can find people in the stories who you kind of get the impression like maybe they were too good. Maybe the world wasn't ready for that level of dedication and that. So I wrestle with that too, of being like, okay, I want to stay me and stay true, but how do I make sure I'm not taken advantage of, or leaving myself open to different things, because everybody doesn't have the community on their mind, no matter what their T-shirt says.
Right. That's hard, man.
Right.
That's hard. You got something that you want to? Cause y'all know y'all got
It ain't gonna go in line with what we're talking about right now.
Oh, you about to straight disagree? Like, it ain't gonna. I know I hear what he's saying, but what I'm getting ready to say ain't gonna go in line with that right there.
Nah, I wasn't. when you touched on, because when I met it was Maddox. Before I knew his last name was Maddox. But when I found out, okay, he just kind of play on words. But he was like, his energy was definitely positive and peaceful. But at the same token, I will tear up everything in this room.
Even his positive, peaceful energy is still intense. Like, I'm intensely positive about this. Like, it's still an intense vibe.
Nah,
I always just, and you could tell, like when he's saying about the grace of God of everything that's been happening for him, you could tell that that's the type of person he is. It don't want to take long for you to find out that's the type of person he is. So I gravitate to those types of people.
Yeah.
And so like when he moved on and was, I think he might have been doing the Iswa already, but when he moved on from Watusi and continued to do the Iswa project that he was doing, it was so creative and so different from what we were already doing, because everybody, it was like 20 of us at first, you know what I'm saying? So everybody has all these different viewpoints, different religious backgrounds they coming from, different taste in hip hop, different taste in whatever that they were all bringing, coming from different places, and then you trying to mix this.
Yeah.
And so him and Scholar were really the ones that they were like, the Avengers. You got Captain America and you got Tony Stark.
Yeah.
That's who y'all was.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna say I wasn't Captain America. That's what I'm gonna say.
You say you was Tony Stark. So you bringing everybody else like the Avengers, and everybody has to figure out where they fit in jail. So a lot of people started at 20, then they went down to 10. You know what I mean? And then it stayed at 10 for at least a few years or whatever. So when he got into or kept and moved on with is what it was a trio, right?
Yeah, it was a trio.
I knew that he did the beatboxing and all that, but to see him do that in the jazz form, I was like, you know, we can't curse or nothing like that. And I don't want to curse in front of moms, but it's like, you know, it's a thing where you proud, but you missing. So it would be years would go by. You know what I'm saying? I happened to see him in Clifton by the Fifth Third Bank or something like that one day. Yeah. And we just caught each other and just catch up. But he's the type of person that even if you haven't seen him for a long time, he's the same person he was. Definitely. Then you know, he had been all around the world, but he wasn't acting all. You know what I'm saying? And in the way things ended up going with the tribe, it didn't just. I'm gonna move on. It was things that made things go that way. You know, some disagreements and this and that, but you still have a genuine respect and love for each other. Yeah. That energy is always gonna be there. And so his energy has never, to my knowledge, since I've known it, has never changed. It's always been exactly what he just said.
He a real one.
Yeah, for sure.
You do travel a lot. Talk a little bit about being a world traveler, places you like, places you could maybe do without, the foods.
Oh wow! Yeah. See why you had to put the foods in there. I was getting ready to say, man, I really like to travel and I meet people everywhere, and it's really there's no place that I could do without. But then when you say food, bruh, some places I'd be like, how do these people even keep weight on? Because this food need help. Right. So I won't say which places those are.
That's fine.
I'm not gonna do that because there might be people listening and they might be like, that's my favorite food. Right. Yeah. So the food that I really enjoyed though, man, anytime they want to swing me past Italy, I'm good. I'm ready to go to Italy anytime because they be like, I still eat fish. We was talking food earlier. Yeah. I still eat fish. They serve some good fish, but in general, their food is really fresh and it's not expensive. Everybody pretty much for a lower price eats well. Yeah. You know, and they like to feed you, so they bring like there's I can't remember what it's called in Italian. Fries. No, not pizza and French fries. Nah, bro, nah. So, not the. No, I'm talking about the first plate and then the second plate and pasta and the fresh tomatoes. Yeah. Tomatoes almost sacred in Italy. You can't. That stuff that they be selling in these stores around here, calling it tomatoes. Yeah. You just get that thrown at you in Italy. Like, no. So, so I dig that. Italy is beautiful. The landscape is nice. The people, all the people are nice. Okay, I mean, we adults here. The ladies are really nice.
Real nice ladies over there, huh?
Yeah. Hey. But we just have conversations and we smile and talk and shake hands. Sometimes bounce if we know each other, there's a hug, bounce ideas. Yeah. It's all very above board. So Jack. But then but being in France, what I dig about France is also like and I like in Italy I like the language. That's probably one of my favorite languages to hear. But then in France, I dig the language, and there's really a poetic sense and a philosophical sense about the way they put words together. Like, for example, if you count up to 100 in French, by the time you get to 100, you have to do math in the naming of the number. You have to do math probably 30 times. Yeah. Because, for example, when they say 90, the way they say 90 is 20 times 4 plus 10. That's the literal translation of 90. 90. Yeah. So 90 is 20 times 4, and D's is 10. Yeah. So that just tells you a lot about how the way French people think. Right. You know, so that's interesting to me in France. And then I love the fact that there are so many Africans in France. Yeah. So people that either their ancestors are from Africa or people that have recently moved from Africa to France from places like Senegal, Ivory Coast, Cameroon. Yeah. You know, France. You know, they got a complicated story like the United States. There was a lot of enslavement and England. Yeah. A lot of enslavement and a lot of colonializing of different parts of the world, and so a lot of that is African. So I also enjoyed going to Morocco. That was cool, but I'm looking forward to going to like even further into Africa. So Japan was dope. I really enjoyed Japan. That was like one of the most peaceful, highly populated places I've ever seen. It probably is the most, because Tokyo is very densely populated. It's like huge. Yeah. Just buildings forever. And I think the time I was there in 2002, and I was there for a week. I did a few performances and in-store things like record signing stuff. And I think the whole time I was there, I saw a report of one gun, like the whole time for a week. And nobody was even killed. I think the reason why it was on the news was because somebody was caught with a gun. And so it was like, well, no, this is, right. And it was like a revolver. It wasn't even nothing like crazy, like a Mac 10 or AR-15 and nothing like that. Right. So it was so cool and peaceful. And I know they actually do have an underbelly, like a other side, but it's not like here.
Yeah, they bog us down with the heavy vibration stuff, man. Like,
yeah, man.
They just want you.
Yeah.
It's resonating at a real low level, man.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah. That's crazy, man. I want to play a game real quick.
Okay.
It's called This or That.
Okay.
I'm going to give you some options. You tell me either this option or that option.
Okay.
Yeah, I got to take some out because how we usually do this, man. I might take it out. Cat or dog?
This is
a choice thing.
Right. And I can't specify like wild cat or house cat.
Nah, if you just had like cats over dogs, then.
Okay. So, okay, dog.
Okay. What? Yeah, what was you considering about the cat?
Because I love wildcats.
Really?
Yeah, like like tigers and cheetahs and but not pets.
Okay.
Just cats.
Okay. Hey, whatever it is in your mind, just go with that answer then.
Okay.
If it's wildcats, summer or winter?
Summer.
Cookie or brownie?
Cookie.
Netflix or movies?
Netflix.
Okay. Apples or oranges?
Oranges.
America or France?
Ooh.
See?
Ooh. America.
Loud or quiet?
Quiet.
Shorts or pants?
Pants.
TV or internet?
Internet.
I'm still going to ask this just because this is what I do, man. I want to be transparent, man. Chesticles or chitlin protectors? If you need definitions, I have them.
Okay. Could you, which of the two again?
Chesticles or chitlin protectors?
Okay. Yeah, I need more information because I don't know what you're talking about, bro.
Chesticles are breast.
Okay.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
You see how that work now?
Yeah.
And chitlin protectors is a butt because they are the flaps of meat that protect your chitlins. Chitlin protect. They're like chitlin doors.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So.
On a woman, which one do you prefer?
Oh, okay. Now, what are they? What are the two? What are the two things called again?
Chesticles.
Okay. Or chitlin protectors. I'm gonna say chesticles.
Okay. All right. Yeah, man. That's pretty much the end of that game right there, man. That's how I like to leave it.
All right.
I think it's fun.
You would think that's fun. Just leave it on that note. Like
I love making stuff awkward, man. I love it, man. Man, we've been rolling for a minute too, man. I appreciate you coming through, man.
Yeah, man.
I still got more questions, but I want you to come back, man.
Okay, yeah, I'll come back.
You got anything?
I know a lot.
But you might have something that you know, and you like, man, people need to know that.
Well, we should do a rundown of the festival real quick, like
do that.
So we kicking it off on May 11th with MC Till and Contracts, RH Contracts.
Shout out.
Over at Everybody's Records, and they're gonna do something called The Beat, and that is what it sounds like. People know Contracts from the beat lounge beat battles, And so they're gonna do like a production demonstration, and they'll have like a quick little panel thing there too, and it's gonna be live. So that's gonna be the first like kind of kickoff, and people get to socialize. And it's always like when we had those events like that, it's always like a miniature family reunion because cats come out that ain't seen each other. So May 11th, May 11th at 2:00 over at Everybody's is the first day of the festival, and then from the 12th through the like 14th, we're gonna have pop-up concerts in the streets of Cincinnati with the mobilization of Congo Square. So we usually have like drums and saxophone, or drums and trumpet, or some really basic instrumentation so that people can share music live on the spot and sing. We welcome people to sing, whether it's old spirituals or they come up with whatever. We usually get into some Down by the Riverside, and we be out, in the communities. So we just gonna roll up, set up, turn up,
That's hard.
Bringing the music back to the people. So that's part of the festival. We've already been doing some of those, but we started when the weather was cold. So now it's warm, and we about to get to it.
So you just pop up like on Main Street or something? It's like a
we might do Main Street, but we really been focusing on like College Hill, Price Hill, Roselawn. That's the whole theme of this project. It's got to be, we got to get back to giving something to the folk. You know what I'm saying? And whoever they Drake is cool, all that's cool. Migos, all that's cool. But our roots run deep. So we bringing that back too, and saying like, okay, this is some of us too. Like there's some rhythm in there, some other grooves, so we can improvise and we can clap our hands and sing. And so the theme for that project, Mobilization to Congo Square, what we always say at some point is we get the people to chant in response to us when we say beautiful things happen when we get together. And we repeat that until we get everybody to say it together, because when we've had nothing else, we've had each other, and we've had our music and our culture, and so we got to get back to that. So that's one of the big themes of this festival as well. So we'll have 3 days of the mobilization of Congo Square, just focusing on that. And then
how do we know where you at? Do you give a location?
Yeah, we on social media. So if you find if you look for the hashtag the mobilization of Congo Square on Instagram or on Facebook, or if you find the Underworld Jazz Festival, so that's at Underworld Jazz Festival all together on Instagram and on Facebook. And then we really gonna get into it on May 16th with Tank and the Bangers down at Woodward. And that's a part of a series, not a series, but of a special initiative to fight infant mortality rates in the Black community, because the children of that should be born of African American women are twice as likely to die before they're born or shortly thereafter. So infant mortality rate is way too high for our community, and there's an organization that fights that. And that supports, the better way to talk about it is in a positive way, that they support Black maternal health, so the health of Black mothers. Yeah. And so they're really the main organization that's sponsoring that night. They are the sponsors of that night at the Underworld Jazz Festival. So they made it possible to bring in Tank and the Bangers. And so there's like a whole night of great programming. Jennifer Simone will be there. Lauren Elise will be there. Okay, DJ April Rain is going to be cutting, doing her thing.
Shout out.
So that's going to be a live night, May 16th at Woodward. And the night is called In Her Voice, because we're listening to the voices of Black women. And a lot of times, the body can't function the way it's supposed to function, and people can't have the lives they're supposed to have when there's stress all around. And as Black men, I know we feel stress. You know what I'm saying? We go outside and get in the car. So we get to the stoplight. We could be waiting at the stoplight. As soon as we see that, the red and blue, even if they pull it.
Yeah, they ain't even got to make that sound.
They ain't even got to make that sound. We feel that stress. You know what I'm saying?
You see a baby with one of them, the fake badges, you be like, oh, man.
You're right, yeah. You know what I'm saying? And that's our stress. So they feel all different type of stress as Black women, worrying about us, worrying about how they're going to provide for the children that they have to nurture and take care of, or all different levels of stress, or just being a woman in this world. You know what I'm saying? We can look at the politics and see how unkind the world can be to women. So that event, In Her Voice, is one of the first big highlight events, May 16th. Then May 17th is twice the first time that we've been talking about earlier. The Stories of Millie Christine, multimedia theater event with jazz and hip hop, strings, live violin, and that's gonna be dope. And then May 18th, there's an event at Lucius Q.
That's a crazy venue right there. I love that venue.
Yeah, so that's gonna be a crazy night too. With the bassist from Is What has a experimental rock project called Latron, so you want to check that out. That's gonna be dope. And MC Till is rocking that night as well.
MC Till is out here.
Yeah.
I tried to. He was outside walking with his kids yesterday when I was doing a different show, and by the time I
word?
got downstairs to say something to him, he was gone. But
That dude is like the hip hop Mr. Rogers.
Yeah.
He's like,
definitely, he is a super friendly guy.
yeah,
man.
that's a good cat. That's a good cat. So that's May 18th over in the Pendleton district at Lucius Q. Then May 19th will be up at during the day will be at the Firehouse of My Cincinnati. My Cincinnati is in Price Hill on the corner of Warsaw and Constantine. Y'all forgive me. However you pronounce that street, it's over there in Price Hill.
Okay.
And people know My Cincinnati, so you can look up My Cincinnati to get the address. But that's on May 19th during the day, so that's going to be around 4 o'clock, and that's going to be live. And then at nighttime on the same day, we're going to be at Motor with a dope band from Columbus called FOMO Deep, and that's like a funky soul jazz trio with bass, drums, and keys. Super slick. I heard them. I was playing with another band up in Dayton, and they was there. I was like, yeah, this is happening. We're going to have to have them down for the festival. So they're going to come on down. Yeah. And then that same night,
Jesus.
Who else is rocking? That's the night you rocking, right? Then Vibe 1 is going to be in the place. Yeah. Yep, Vibe 1, FOMO Deep. And then I'm going to be there doing my beatbox thing with Eddie Kwan, with Steve Patata, and with a young bassist from My Cincinnati. Man, so that's gonna be super live.
We about to have to beatbox or something.
You what? You try? Is this what are we doing? You trying? You calling me out?
Yeah, man, let's
calling me
it,
out?
man.
Okay.
Let's do it.
So then we got.
I'm talking about right now.
Oh, right now. Okay.
Yeah.
What you want? What's
I just start.
Okay.
I'm gonna spit this gum out. It's just being unchewed in my mouth for like an hour.
Okay. While you get rid of your gum, I'm gonna rock the other 3 nights of the May 20th. We got another night of at Motor. That's gonna be live at Motor. May 21st and 22nd, we're gonna be at Elements, and then the last 2 nights on 24th and 25th, we'll be back at Motor with Is What. With Sons of Silverton is gonna rock a night, and that's an Eddie Brass Band. So it's gonna close out pretty much at Motor.
Okay, that's what's up. That's a day, man. That's a tour.
Yeah. We was like, they said go hard or go home, and we done lost our way. Can't get back home. We might as well go hard.
Mm-hmm. That's live, man. Like extra active out here.
Word.
That's
Word.
hard, man.
Absolutely necessary.
Yeah. So
what you trying to do?
Oh man. If you just want to join in.
Oh, word. Okay.
Or you want to battle?
No, we could good. We could do this. We could do because I don't. Yeah.
Okay. Put the money. Money. I'm talking about show. Napoleon chilling with the Nomtombout. Talking about Nomtombout. 5-1, play, 6. I gotta catch the beat.
Yeah.
Hey, going for days. Going for days. Going for days. That was hard, man.
Yes, sir.
Hey, man. I felt real freeing. I felt liberated.
Feel liberated.
Yeah, man. We appreciate you coming through today, man. I'm glad we got the vibe. I got two more questions. My bad, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you good. I was just clearing my throat.
Okay, my bad, man. You got anything else?
No, I was gonna have him give his social medias, but
yeah, we're gonna do that. First, real quick, I just want you such an eclectic type guy. Go down like a playlist of yours, songs that you enjoy, because I know you pull from different places.
Oh, yeah. You want just artist or song titles?
Let's do artist and song titles.
Okay, so I'm gonna have to definitely, right off the top of the dome, I'm gonna have to say, "Wild is the Wind," Nina Simone, and then I'm gonna go Run DMC, King of Rock, and then I'm gonna go Rakim, Know the Ledge, and You Got Soul. Then I'm gonna jump to James Brown with Soul. You got it. You got Soul. So two back to back like that. Then I'm gonna have to just go straight to some BDP with some Boogie Down Productions, KRS One with some My Philosophy. And just to get controversial, Boogie Down Productions, The Real Holy Place.
Okay.
And then I had to go to some Jack Brel, Nimkitapa, and Leo Frere, another French singer with Avec le Ton. Avec le Ton.
With the tone?
Avec le Ton is with the time. Avec is with, and then the time.
I took a little French. On petit peu, on petit peu.
Le petit peu.
Yeah.
Ouais. Tu parles un peu?
Comme ci, comme ça.
Comme ci, comme ça,
yeah,
ouais, c'est ok. Je connais pas, tu parles en français comme ça, mais tu es très talentueux, alors c'est normal, en fait.
Bien, I heard you say Mal, so I have no idea. I'm tapping out, man. I was definitely lost. Big loss. And what's your end game? Where do you want to end up at the very end?
Man, I want to be to a place, where definitely, I think I'm not there yet, but I'm well on the way to being somebody that's in a position to continue practicing the arts, but also someone that's able to open up many doors and cultivate opportunities for the next generations, for my nieces and nephews, and for people who are not in my bloodline but that are family, the people that I meet every day, people like yourself, like the fact that we met. I didn't do anything specifically for you artistically, but just to encourage you as a person. But then now, in the years to come, hopefully I'll be in a position where I could just say, I see the dedication of this person. Here are the keys. Go do your thing. This is your lane. Yeah. I see what you're doing. You dedicated. You ready. Go ahead, do it. Yeah. And so that's the position that I want to be in, is to really open up doors. And I see the stories of people like Nipsey Hussle, and stories of a lot of things that Jay-Z is doing in the world right now. And that's not brand new, really. James Brown opened a lot of doors for people, as did Duke Ellington, as did even Louis Armstrong. So it's not a brand new thing. I want to really continue that tradition of doing something, leaving a gift behind.
Yeah. Well, definitely appreciate you coming through, man. Go ahead, drop your social media so people can follow you out here in these streets.
Word. So you can find me on Instagram at Napoleon Solo Shots, NAPO. Oh shoot, NAP. I used to spelling my name fast. I'm trying to slow it down and I'm getting tangled up. Napoleon Solo Shots. NapoleonSoloShots. That's on Instagram. You can find me on Facebook real easy. Napoleon Maddox, aka Napoleon Solo. Or you could Google is what. Google my name as well, Napoleon Maddox.
And what about you, Vibe, man? Tell them how they can find you out here and whatever you got going on right now. Because he been out here getting it, man, on the performance side of the game.
Oh, I know.
Mr. Vibe One on Instagram, VIBEONE. Vibe One on Facebook, VIBE-ONE, and then on Twitter, Vibe One again. E.S.A.ENT for booking, production, mixing and mastering. I do have a bunch of shows coming up. Just check out any of my pages and you'll see all the shows coming up. Definitely.
Yeah, man. Stay tuned, man. If you would like to follow the show, you can follow us on Facebook at Nomtombout. That's NOMTOMBOUT. If you would like to follow us on Instagram, that's Nomtombout _radio, NOMTOMBOUT _radio. If you would like to follow me, I don't know why you would want to do that, man. I'm so, But Blaze6513 on Instagram is where you can follow me. We want to keep engaged with you all who are listening and viewing us. So just hit us up on any of those platforms. Tell us how you feel about the content being created, who you might want to see, who we might need to talk to, and just give us your feedback on how you feel. We would definitely appreciate it. But right now, it's a party, man. We turning up. Yeah!
Whoa.
Yeah! Make sure you get some beats by me, man. You can get those, man. This is made by me, so if you want to hit me up, holla at me. Until next Wednesday, this has been the Nomtombout Radio Show, 91.7 WVXU HD2, or you can stream us live on RadioArtifact, ticket.com. Goodbye.
Yeah.